What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right. Gonna talk a little Floyd Money Mayweather and his comments about Deontay Wilder needing to take the bout with Anthony Joshua in the UK because that's where the money is. And Anthony Joshua's been doing a terrific job of filling up stadiums there and all of that, right? Now, I have issue with that. And the issue isn't that Deontay Wilder needs to go over there to the UK because Anthony Joshua bouts make a lot of money in the UK. They do. My issue is this, that when you just say something and a reporter asks a question of you and you give an answer that seems like you're supporting one side or the other and you apparently don't know the history of everything that happened, you can wind up looking like a jerk to the people who do understand what the situation is. And I have no issue with Deontay Wilder going to the UK to face Anthony Joshua. No problem with it at all. In fact, I was all but certain that was the case, that was going to be the case when they originally started talking about making that match. I was never under the impression until Deontay Wilder came up with an offer of $50 million that Anthony Joshua asked for. I had no reason to believe the bout was going to be in the UK at all. So, on one hand, the fact that he would say that I assume he's saying that Deontay Wilder should accept the offer that was made by Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua, because that's where the money is. Well, if that's the case, let me ask a question of Floyd Mayweather Jr. If the UK is where the money is, then why didn't you face Conor McGregor in the UK? That's right around the corner from the Wembley Stadium. I'm sure Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. would have done spectacular numbers at Wembley Stadium. Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Conor McGregor would have done incredible on pay-per-view in the UK. It did do incredibly well in pay-per-view in the UK. It set the UK pay-per-view record for a bout that was held in Vegas. So if that's where the money is, then why, when he had a bout against a UK, I wouldn't call Conor McGregor a boxer, but a UK competitor, why didn't he have that in the UK? If that's where the money is. If that's where the money is, why didn't Floyd Mayweather Jr. ever go over to the UK to face somebody? Because that's not where the money is. The money is right where Money Mayweather always made Money Mayweather's money, which would be Las Vegas. And Money Mayweather, who is a top Forbes list of highest paid athletes last year, with listed at $275 million because of one boxing match that was held in Las Vegas. Hey, I'm sure that he had the same feeling towards his supporters that Anthony Joshua had when Anthony Joshua said, I just need to stay in the UK for the match. Okay? Now, that is what you call talking out of the side of your neck. Floyd Mayweather Jr. knows full well that the money is not in the UK. If the money was in the UK, Floyd Money Mayweather would have went and faced off against boxers in the UK, which he never did. Now, we all know that. That's just obvious. However, the part that once again, that kind of irritates me is that Floyd says, even if you assume that that's where the money is, that's not the money that was offered. The money that was offered was a $12.5 million flat fee, and then a counter offer of $50 million plus an upside for Deontay Wilder. Now, for upside for Anthony Joshua. Deontay Wilder would have made $12.5 million flat, no upside, for facing Anthony Joshua in the original offer. No upside. Flat fee. Something that Floyd, the people, at least one of the persons available who worked with Floyd Mayweather to get him to become Money Mayweather, Al Heyman, team insinuated that would have been professional irresponsibility to take that offer. But the only thing that ever kept the bout out of the UK to start with, at least on the surface, the things that have been talked about in public, was that the money for Deontay Wilder was not in the UK because they did not offer him a deal that was reasonable. Deontay Wilder always wanted to face Deontay Wilder and still says, according to Shelly Finkel. Now, Shelly Finkel will say some things here and there. Shout out to my man, Blood Boxing, where it's not always the smartest thing to say. He said something about Deontay Wilder and Vladimir Klitschko that I was enlightened to. I think I had recalled that, but enlightened on a few years ago. Last night in a live stream that came out a few years ago. But here he said, Shelly talks about this bout, and this comes out in an article. He says that it's not an issue facing Anthony Joshua in the UK now, but there was never an issue about them facing each other in the UK. The offer was always the money. Deontay Wilder's management team are optimistic in reaching agreement to seal a heavyweight unification bout against Anthony Joshua later this year. Shelly Finkel, one of Wilder's co-managers, told ESPN that negotiations with Joshua's camp are ongoing with the possibility of a bout held towards the end of the year. According to Finkel, the WBC heavyweight champion was willing to travel to Britain to take on WBA, IBO, IBF, and WBO champion Joshua if necessary. Finkel said he held talks last week with veteran promoter Barry Hearn, whose son Eddie promotes Joshua. I met with Eddie's father, Barry, this past Friday in New York, and it was a good meeting, Finkel said. I'm hopeful that they will get back to me this week and that something can be done to make this bout in the fall. I'm optimistic. Finkel said facing Joshua in Britain was not an impediment on our side. There are still some roads to cross, but hopefully it will happen, and we'll see the bout this year, Finkel said. If we're going to make the bout, the place where it will take place isn't going to be the problem. We have no problem going to the UK. It was never a problem. Deontay has never had a problem with that. Meanwhile, Barry Hearn told ESPN a deal for any Joshua bout will need to be sealed quickly. They've got to make a decision realistically. That's their favorite word, realistically. In the next few days, he said, I think both of them want to face each other, but there are obvious hurdles to overcome or to come over. Is Wembley available? What is the American pay-per-view situation for American broadcasters on a show in the UK? There isn't any pay-per-view for American broadcast on a show in the UK. Who cares? Is the time right to face Deontay Wilder? That's the biggest question right there for them. The bout's only going to get bigger. Fans will tell you, we must see it now. Of course, they're not involved in the financials. So, essentially, in never met Barry Hearn, let's just milk boxing fans. Is the time right? We just need to extend this bout out. Now, whatever reason he uses this word, is this the right time to face Deontay Wilder? Right? Is Wembley available? It's probably not going to be available. What's the American pay-per-view situation for American broadcasters on the show in the UK? There's not going to be one. It's in the middle of the afternoon. I mean, they'll put it on. They'll put it on pay-per-view. I don't see why it would prevent them from putting it on pay-per-view. Pay-per-view is on a different. That's actually a distinct distribution network. So I suppose they could put that on at any time of the day. Whether or not people are going to really pay for that, I don't know, because there's going to be a lot of, it's in the middle of the afternoon. The bout's only going to get bigger. So that means, hey, if we don't let's not do it now. That's how I interpret that. That's the functional effect of the bout's only going to get bigger. Let's not do it now. Let's wait. Hey, it's only going to get better. We got all these problems. Like, is the stadium available? Will American pay-per-view show the bout? Is it the right time for Deontay Wilder? Because we'll make more money if we just milk the boxing fans out, which means we can make more money on bouts with Anthony Joshua and other people. So, and the fans will tell you, we must see it now. Of course, they're not involved in the financials. Look, we don't care about them. That's how I read what Barry Hearn is saying. The effect on me, right? As a boxing fan. Now, I want to see unification. I don't really care about the financials, and he's right. And at this point, I don't really care about seeing Anthony Joshua because I know what it is now. This is a hype job. This is a hype job. Milk them out. Make people wait. All that nonsense. And I'm not in the mood for that. But as far as Floyd Mayweather Jr., Floyd ain't never thought about facing anybody in the UK. Never thought about it. I don't think Floyd thought 30 seconds about the question before he answered it. And he gave basically the same answer that Don Cheadle gave. Don Cheadle, who was one of my favorite actors, said one of the most ridiculous things that I've heard said about Anthony Joshua. And mind you, he's an actor, so he knows how to play a role. He can think on his feet. He can improvise. And he was asked who he thought would win in a match between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, and he said Anthony Joshua. Now, the fact that he would side with Anthony Joshua that's okay. That doesn't bother me at all. There are people who really know boxing that would say the same thing that Don Cheadle said, with the exception of this extremely choice line. He said Anthony Joshua is a heavyweight, and he looks like a middleweight in the ring. He moves like a middleweight. he's as fast as a middleweight. I mean, what exactly? Anthony Joshua is to be, from what I can see, is kind of he's a talented guy. He's a good athlete, but he's more lumbering. He's not, it's not Huey Fury. Like, I would say, I mean, he doesn't look like Billy Joe Saunders up in there. I mean, you know what I mean? Maybe he's been watching a lot of Golovkin. You know, maybe and I don't think he's as good a boxer as Golovkin is, but just saying whatever, is coming off the top of his, whatever comes off the top of his head when somebody sticks a microphone in his face and doesn't want to act like I don't know. And that's, I think, is the same thing with Floyd Mayweather, because saying that just on his face, as I said before, it's absolutely ridiculous. You can't, the money's not in the UK. The money's in the United States. The money's in the same place you got your money from, son. Okay. Now, as far as it being another example of American boxers not supporting other American boxers, hey, it's flipped. Yeah, I used to hear that from American boxers like Floyd Mayweather, right? And also, Floyd Mayweather, that, American boxing fans don't support American fighters, right? That's what I would hear. The American boxing fan doesn't support American fans. I mean, the American fan doesn't support American boxers. And I was thinking to myself, and now it's switched to American boxers don't support other American boxers. At least Floyd Mayweather Jr. doesn't, because Floyd needs to stay out of that and just say, hey, may the best man win. I don't know. Hey, I'd like Anthony Joshua. I like Deontay Wilder. I wish him the best, but that's not in Floyd Mayweather's character. Just to keep his mouth shut and not act like, not say something silly like the money's in the UK. But even if the money was in the UK, the issue's not the UK. The issue is that they don't want this bout. And that's what Barry Hearn says at the end of this article again. They don't want it. And there could be now the question is whether or not it's going to happen, at this year. So Eddie Hearn was saying, well, we can sign a deal for Povetkin, and then we can sign, 2 deals, one for Povetkin, and then we'll sign to face Wilder after that. Like, I know that you can have contingencies and agreements and things like that, which will allow those things to take place, but would you trust him to do that? Why don't you just not do that? Why would that be in the interest? I don't know. This is something that is a good question I'm honestly asking. Why would it be in the benefit of Deontay Wilder to sign a contract now to face Anthony Joshua after Povetkin? Anthony Joshua's market rate and all that stuff is not going to go up after Alexander Povetkin. The only thing that can happen is it can go down. And if it goes down, you lock in your price. So that makes no sense to me. Why they would want to do that. And I'm, like I said in another video that I did, I'm really starting to get to the point where I don't care. I understand that shout out to my man CJ Goodfellow. Shout out to my man Blood Boxing Returns. I understand that that there are similar issues with Tyson Fury's resume as there are with all of the heavyweight champion of both Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, and that the heavyweight division is just not. There's not a lot of good boxers in the heavyweight division, and there haven't been since around 2000. We're just in a real dry point for the heavyweight. So nobody's record, after you look at their top 1 or 2 people on their record, look good at all. Like the difference between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua and what they've done as far as you looking at the people that they've actually faced, it's very minimal, except for Deontay Wilder's fought a lot more of them. And Tyson Fury, same thing. He's got they've all got one good person, a really good boxer on the top of their resume, and that is Luis Ortiz and Vladimir Klitschko. Other than that, nobody else really had on those heavyweights had much to really to brag about. So I agree with Blood Boxing on that, and I also agree with CJ Goodfellow that Tyson Fury is probably going to be, you know, at least fights out before, at least 3 boxing matches out before we see that. But anyway, it is what it is, and Floyd needs to be quiet. And with that, I'm out. Peace.